We always like to cheer people up as they come in, so we have the pretty flowers, and because it is the Christmas season we have Christmas decorations. Quite important as well, people are always saying that the mentally ill don't take enough pride in their appearance. It does help if you give a mirror so that you can actually see what you look like. Then you come through into the main reception. As you come in, the station house rules are on the door, and everybody who uses our services does so with the acceptance of these rules, which have been agreed and voted through by our committee, which is composed entirely of mental health service users and informal carers. I actually think when you are providing a crisis house with people with mental health problems, that you need to be very tidy and organised, because if people are experiencing chaos in their heads, it doesn't help to have us in a state of chaos as well. And I think what you see when you first come through the door is very important. So we always endeavour to have it very tidy. At the same time, it's got to be very warm and welcoming, and I think it is very important to have flowers. This gives a message, this cabinet gives a message that here we have all our china and pretty ornaments, breakable ornaments on display. We're giving a message that we don't actually expect people to be throwing things around the room and breaking them. And as you will know from psychology, human beings 99% of the time do what you expect of them. And I can tell you that all those beautiful china ornaments have been there for donkey's years, and we've never had anybody ever throw or break anything. The lights are very important. You need the bright lights, obviously, so that people feel that the environment is light, but you can have the soft lights as well. So we've got the lamps as well as having the fluorescent lights. You need a free telephone in a crisis house. That telephone is made available 24 hours a day. Now, we have got a crisis team of our own who will come out in absolute crisis in the middle of the night. But what we say to people is, if it's just feeling lonely and can't sleep and not an actual crisis, the telephone is provided there free, and ring the Samaritans, who have a round-the-clock listening service. If you can't sleep, just talk to them all through the night. The mentally ill are always being told that they haven't got reality in terms of time and date. And again, have calendars, make sure that they're always kept up to date. Today is the 11th of December. I've opened the Advent calendar on the 11th. You mustn't have things that are days, weeks, months, or even years out of date, which is what you do get in some mental health facilities. The same with clocks. You have clocks. It's different with this ornamental one. That's just meant to be an ornament. But the clock on the wall tells us that it's almost 25 to 11 on the 11th of December 2007. And I think that the environment has got to reinforce reality if people are having problems with the experience of objective reality. In the evenings, this reception room is just used as another little sitting room for the guests living here. They have got television in their rooms, but if they want to watch together, they can either watch here together on this television, or there's also one up in the library. This is the main reception lounge, and the same principles apply. That people who are depressed sometimes find that they haven't got the energy to speak very much, and they haven't got the energy to do anything very much other than sit. And that being the case, we don't want them sitting looking at a blank wall. And what you find is it's far less embarrassing to sit in a busy room with plenty around you, because if you're not speaking very much, you can actually be looking at things and you don't feel quite so sort of stark, which is what you feel if you're sitting in a room just looking at a blank wall. The pictures that we choose tend to be ones that are non-threatening, so they tend to have the theme of beautiful country scenes. Some of the pictures have been painted by our own members. That one, for instance, of those gardens there was painted by one of our users here, trying to have pictures that will be acceptable one way or another to anybody who happens to come in. This is our bar, and I keep different drinks to suit different tastes. So some people like whiskey and some people like sherry or gin. Some people like liqueurs. I don't actually drink any of those myself. I stick to nice, cold, dry, white Chablis, in which I'm going to indulge after this tour has been completed. The animals are very important. We've got 4 cats. Cuddles is the senior cat in the house. He's been with us now for 13 years. Then we've got little Chloe, who came from a cat rescue. And then we've got the twins Smack and Crack, who've been with us for 3 years. And outside we've also got some budgerigars and fish. But I actually think living things, plants and animals, are very important in a crisis house. It's very important to have today's newspaper and to have gotten rid of yesterday's newspaper. And one of the things I do every morning when I come into the crisis house is get rid of last week's stuff or yesterday's stuff, because if your mental health, you're trying to get people, encouraging them into reality, that today is Tuesday the 11th of December 2007. Chairs, comfortable chairs, and the other thing about chairs is high chairs, low chairs, wide chairs, narrow chairs, hard chairs, soft chairs. Arthritic people suffer the most diabolical pain if you sit them in a low chair. They need a chair where they can get up without having to bend the knee too much. So it's very important not to order a dozen chairs, all the same size, from one catalogue. It's very important to have a variety so that people can find a comfortable chair. Right, we'll move into the downstairs kitchen. On the door of the kitchen here, I've got a poem by a leading light in the mental health service movement, whose name is Ray Unzicker. And she says, I won't read the whole of it, but she says at the end, to be a mental patient is not to die even if you want to, not to cry and not to hurt, not to be scared and not to be angry, and not to be vulnerable, not to laugh too loud, because if you do, you only prove that you are a mental patient, even if you're not, and you become a no thing in a no world, and you are not. This kitchen is mainly for the drop-in, because the guests who stay here have got their own kitchen upstairs. And we've got a microwave so that you can heat things up. People can drop in and out and make coffee. We've got a fridge where you can keep your bottles of wine cool. And also we've got a linen closet here so that the people who are staying here can help themselves to fresh duvets and sheets and pillowcases. And we've got tea towels and things in there. I like to have the cutlery reasonably organised, with the knives in the knife compartment and the forks in the fork compartment, because I think it is quite important to have order and not chaos around you when you're feeling very disturbed.